Welcome to Hoystory On Air, Season 1, Episode 18. It is December 3rd, 2025. Got a pretty quick show for you today. Not going to dwell on too much. Let's get to it. So, as is predictable, here in California, in the Ninth Circuit has revived California law requiring background checks for ammo purchases. California is the only state in the union that requires it. It's an inconvenience, to say the least. I have not bought ammo in the state of California since it passed in 2019, or went into effect in 2019. I stocked up big time getting ammo out of state, and if I have to buy any ammo, I buy it out of state and then drive it in. Is that legal? Yes, it's legal for me, because I have gone through the hoops and whatnot to get what California calls a certificate of eligibility, which costs me $22 or so every year, which shows that I am legal to own a firearm. It required a background check and fingerprinting and blah, blah, blah to get that. But that's not good enough here in the state. If I wanted to buy ammo, I'd still have to pay the fee and do all that joke. But basically, let me give you a little background on this law. So this law was, immediately sued. I'm not sure if they immediately sued. They waited some time because they wanted to give California a chance to kind of build a record about what was happening with these background checks. And I actually filed a Freedom of Information Act, the California version of it, shortly after this law had gone into effect. It got an answer back. You'll see a little bit of that here. But judge found that this law doesn't pass muster. This is, as we call him, Saint Benitez down in San Diego. Struck it down. Went up to the Ninth Circuit. They put his striking down the law or issuing an injunction against it on hold. Ninth Circuit panel of 3 judges heard the case 2-1. The judges said, yep, the district court was right. This is not kosher with our Constitution. This is actually, anyways. And then, as is predictable in California, the Ninth Circuit decided, we don't like that result because that implies the Second Amendment exists. And so we will vacate that opinion and we will rehear it. So that was the announcement that was made Monday. 3-judge panel in the Ninth Circuit ruled 2-1 July that the law, which states voters approved in 2016, I don't think it went into effect till 2019. I could be wrong. Interferes with the Second Amendment right to bear arms by imposing a fee and waiting period for background checks. But the court announced Monday that the majority of the 26 judges had voted to set the ruling aside and order a new hearing before an 11-judge panel led by Chief Judge Mary Murguia. A moment here. The Ninth Circuit has determined over the past, ever since, ever since Bruin, even before that, ever since, ever since, it was determined the Second Amendment was a right. You had a right to keep arms in your home. This is even before Bruin, which said you had a right to bear them. Lawsuits have been brought against a variety of Second Amendment infringing laws here in California and other Western states. If the Second Amendment, or if the gun control law was upheld at the district court, usually a 3-judge panel would, they review it, but it'd keep that win. If it won at the district court, might go through to a 3-judge panel. Maybe they win at 3-judge panel, maybe they lose. But if they won, every single time, the court would take it in bank and overturn it. There were 50 lawsuits regarding challenges on Second Amendment grounds to gun control laws in the Ninth Circuit over a 10-plus year period. Until earlier this year, any ruling that struck down a gun control law was reversed by the Ninth Circuit. They found no gun control law anywhere in the Ninth Circuit that violated the Second Amendment until one earlier this year that's been allowed to stand. And that one was the one gun a month rule. California had on the books for a long time, you could only buy one gun a month. At first it had been one handgun a month. You can buy as many rifles and shotguns as you wanted, but only one handgun a month. Then they changed the law so it was one gun of any kind a month. That one was struck down. That one has stuck. That has not stopped Democrats from saying, okay, well, if one's an infringement, maybe 3 guns a month isn't. And so they're going to play this numbers game. They're going to pass another law to try and redo that. We'll see how that flies. Note that I have highlighted these next 2 paragraphs as lies. California Attorney General Rob Bonta's office countered that the law does not interfere with anyone's legal access to guns or ammunition. California's laws, quote, do not prohibit any person from acquiring ammunition other than those who are already disqualified by law from possessing it, and do not impose any limit on the quantity of the ammunition that firearm owners may purchase, Micah Moore, Deputy Solicitor General in Bonta's office, wrote in a court filing. Well, the law may not, but how they've implemented certainly does. Case in point. This is from my restricted arms blog that it's largely abandoned now, but I was right. I was trying to create a kind of a gun directory, a gun seller directory. Didn't end up happening. But this is what I got when I sent a FOIA request to the state of California. I had asked for their first 3 weeks of data. They gave me the first 30 because that's what they had. So there's a few different ways to do background checks. What I want to highlight for you is the second and third columns. So in the first 30 days, 57,553 ammunition background checks. They caught 14 prohibited possessors. Now, allegedly, because sometimes those are just 2 people with the same name. They may have different birth dates. One may be 25, the other one may be 75. But there's a lot of false positives that hit on those. But 57th, the third column is the kicker. So 57,000 background checks, 10,000 rejected because the information doesn't match the DOJ's databases. See, it's not quite true that you can buy, anyone who has the right to buy ammo can buy ammo. Not in California, not the way they've got that database set up. Because you have to have an entry in the database before you can try and buy ammo using the quick and easy system, the system that at the time cost $1, now it costs $5. Okay? You've got to have bought a gun in California. Post-registration. You've got to voluntarily register your guns with the state of California. So that's got to match. You've got to have an entry in there. And there are stupid reasons why the things may not match. Like if you put 123 Main Street ST on your application, but they have in their database that your address is 123 Main Street spelled out. That'll cause it to kick back because it's not a match. How do you find that out? It takes like a month. You've got to fill out paperwork. You got to submit it. Then they'll send you back. Well, here's what we've got on you, if anything. And it's a big joke. Does not prohibit any person. Yeah, it doesn't prohibit any person from acquiring ammunition. But you got 10,000 people, nearly 11,000 people, nearly 20% who weren't prohibited possessors by your own standards. It's just they didn't have a thing in the database. And then there's other option. Basic ammunition eligibility check is you've got to fill out paperwork and whatnot. There were nearly 4,000 of those. Those cost $19. And if they determine through that $19 check that, yes, you're good to go, you're not a prohibited possessor, and you go back 2 weeks later to buy more ammo, you can't use the $1/$5 one. you've got to go pay the 19 again. The only way to avoid that is to submit paperwork, saying you've got a gun with pictures to the state of California. They get that in the database, or you've got to buy a gun. The fact that you've done the lengthier thing one time and then you go back to buy more ammo, no, you got to do it again. That was the first 30 days. It got better. It didn't get a whole lot better. So this is from Judge Benitez's initial ruling striking this down. He outlines kind of what the three doors are that you can go through to buy ammo in California. So of the approximately 40 million residents of California, 640,000 citizens who wanted to buy ammunition somehow made it through the main gate. Of those, 616,257 citizens chose door number 1 and underwent the standard background check. It is an electronic automated firearm system cross-checked by the Armed Prohibited Persons System list. With the standard background check, there were 188 would-be purchasers identified as prohibited persons, felons, fugitives, violent misdemeanors, etc., and denied authorization to purchase ammunition. These are the people the new laws are designed to stop. Unfortunately, the standard background check also rejected 101,047 other law-abiding citizen residents that the laws were not designed to stop. Later analysis reveals the rejections were either because the state had no record of gun ownership or because of identifier mismatches. To put this in perspective, 16% of those who established their citizenship, because to get in that first door, you've got to have a real ID or a passport or a birth certificate. 16% of those who established their citizenship were rejected and prevented from lawfully exercising their constitutional right. By comparison, 0.030% of those who made it through the main gate were found to be prohibited persons. No judge, no court, no populace would countenance such a immense false rejection rate if we were talking about voter registration. Wouldn't even be a second thought. Wouldn't be, this is it's not a big barrier to voting. It's not a big barrier to registering to vote. Oh, sure, it gets 16% of it wrong. But we stopped that 0.03%. Not 3%, 0.03%. So, look at the next one. I had a blank page. The door number 2 option is to undergo the basic background check, which costs $19 and may take several days. Of the approximately 640,000 citizens who made it through the main gate, 19,599 citizens chose door number 2. This is, just to clarify, the time frame on this was 10 months. He let this system run for 10 months so they could get data. That's why these numbers are different than the ones I got from my Freedom of Information Act request. Their 570 would-be purchasers were identified as prohibited persons, felons, fugitive, violent misdemeanors, etc., and denied ammunition. These are the people laws are designed to stop. Unfortunately, once again, the basic background check also rejected 342 other law-abiding citizen residents that the laws were not designed to stop. For those people, post-analysis revealed no DMV match was found for 177, and 235 were rejected due to incomplete history, whatever the heck that is. So, and the kicker here is if you go back and you look through the cases, of these prohibited possessors, and I'm curious as to what the numbers are now, who attempted to buy ammunition, I think, the numbers here is what do we say here? 570 were identified here, and if we go back, it was 188. So 188 plus 188 plus 570, that's 676, 670, 753. 758. 758. Of the 758 who, naughty, you shouldn't try to buy ammunition. You're not allowed. You know how many they prosecuted? Less than 10. Or fewer than 10. Fewer than 10. They're not serious about this. I bet, and I'm tempted to do it. Maybe I'll do it. Hey, subscribe or leave a comment or whatnot. Tell me to do it, I'll go do it. I want to file another Freedom of Information Act request. We're now 7-8 years into this. How many of you have you prosecuted? Because I bet the number's less than 24. We've still got these numbers. I can guarantee you these numbers are still climbing. They aren't prosecuting them. It's a farce. And this is something I mentioned earlier. For reasons unexplained, a resident who passes the full $19 basic check must do so again for each and every future ammunition purchase. In other words, even though that person passes the basic background check, his name does not go in the state's AFS list, and the quick and cheap standard background check remains a futile exercise. Recall that those without guns registered in the AFS list never succeed using door number 1's quick and cheap option. Yeah. Number like these, 101,047 law-abiding citizens were prevented from buying ammunition, while only 188 prohibited persons were prevented from buying ammunition. That fueled Benitez's grant of a preliminary injunction. That's me writing. So Benitez issues a preliminary injunction. The Attorney General at the time wasn't Bonta, it was Becerra, who was later Biden's Director of Health and Human Services, famous for going after nuns, and now wants to be governor, by the way. He was in charge at the time. He immediately goes and says, please put a stay on this till we can go up, and Benitez says, no. And in responding to telling Benitez to pound sand on preliminary injunction, which the Ninth Circuit gave him 48 hours later, said, here the Attorney General focuses on the possibility that a prohibited person may acquire ammunition. This was in the filing that Benitez put in at the time. Buying ammunition is something that prohibited persons have managed to accomplish for 170 years, and these new laws show little likelihood of success preventing prohibited persons from unlawfully possessing future acquisitions. This court's focus is on the 101,047 plus law-abiding responsible citizens who have been completely blocked by the operation of these laws. Without an injunction, these law-abiding individuals have no legal way to acquire the ammunition which they enjoy the constitutional right of possession. These law-abiding individuals, whose numbers are vast, have no way to lawfully acquire ammunition to defend themselves, their families, and their homes. The injunction restores that right. Again, this is the situation we've been in for 8+ years. I want to say it was 2019, though. Maybe that was the first time anyways. Too long. And it continues to this day. So the Ninth Circuit puts a hold on it. It goes up to the Ninth Circuit, 3-judge panel. All 3 of them appointed by Republicans. Goes 2-1. You got one Republican judge who thought this was hunky dory. Just goes to show you that while Democrats seem to be very good at getting people on the bench who follow the party line, Republicans not so good at it. Souter famously, Anthony Kennedy. The list, those are the high court ones. We've done better in recent years. So, goes up Ninth Circuit, 2-1, they vote, nope, Benitez was right, we're striking this thing down. And I want to highlight this footnote from the majority's opinion addressing the dissent. The dissent's argument that California's ammunition background check regime does not meaningfully constrain the right to obtain firearms because it imposed a $1 fee and a 1-minute delay in 99% of cases is wrong. Why do we have where the hell did meaningfully constrain come from? Because the court said in Bruin, you have to have a historical tradition. Meaningfully constrain. I'll tell you what meaningfully constrain translates to. Interest balancing, which they're forbidden from doing. Ninth Circuit continues to do it. Other anti-gun circuits continue to do it. Meaningfully constrain is interest balancing. We're balancing this interest against this interest. The government wants to do this thing. It doesn't. It just hurts you a little bit. The dissent's factual allegations about California's background check regime are contrary to the district court's finding that, quote, Californians are denied the Second Amendment right to buy ammunition for self-defense at least 11% of the time because of the problems with the background check system. He just ignores that. Not convenient. I'll pretend everything's great. It ain't. And note that background further down, oh, it's only $1. It's $5 now. They've upped it. It's $5. So, we'll see what happens. Depends on the luck of the draw. We do not have a draw for that 11-judge panel yet. We might get lucky. There's a second case I think that's firearms related they're looking at. I'm not sure what it is right off the top of my head, but there's been some suggestion they might hear the two cases together, especially if they get a good draw. It's supposed to be random. If it were random, you'd think that some of those gun control laws would have been struck down before the one this year that stood or that was. At one point, it was 50-0. Every time the Second Amendment had lost, 50 times to 0 times, they found something that violated the Second Amendment. Because nothing violated the Second Amendment. The Ninth Circuit famously read and bear, right, to keep and bear arms, right out of the Second Amendment before Bruin, because there had been a lawsuit that had gone up over, good cause for concealed carry permits, and Ninth Circuit said, the Second Amendment does not give you a right to conceal carry a firearm. So there was a lawsuit that went up for open carry of a firearm. So everyone could see it, it'd be on your hip. And the court said, nope, there's no right to open carry a firearm. You can't conceal carry it. You can't open carry it. You can't carry it at all then, can you? You can't bear it. That's changed. But it takes the Supreme Court, and it's going to take the Supreme Court to start hearing some of these cases, because these are jokes. It's absolute. If they were serious about their Bruin methodology, which is you've got to identify a historical analog, you got to identify something that the founders would have tolerated. Most gun control laws lose. It's just the way it is. Most of them lose in this situation. That's my long talk for today. Got a few quick things I want to hit on. So here we go. This I just found amusing. Newsom will stay in the National Governors Association after threatening to leave. Like anybody cares, really? But here's the headline. After threatening to leave the National Governors Association over the organization's silence on National Guard deployments, Governor Gavin Newsom says he'll stay in the group but has stopped paying dues. It's too perfect. I'm going to be there, but I'm not going to pay dues. I'm not going to follow the rules. Yeah. Typical. It just floors me. Oh, this will be good. I'm going to stay, but I'm going to quit paying dues. They're not going to get my money, but I'm going to. Maybe they're going to kick your sorry butt out. They should. No pay dues, no vote, no come to things, no, forget it. He deserves posturing, preening peacock. Climate change. We're all going to die eventually, but not from climate change. Top journal retracts study predicting catastrophic climate toll. While growing evidence shows that carbon emissions are harming the economy, the journal Nature found that an outlier paper had deep flaws. Climate change would cause far more economic damage by the end of the century than previous estimates had suggested. Climate change will cost us money. It's not catastrophic. It's not going to be a catastrophic amount of money. It's certainly not, and if they were serious about this, they'd be pushing for nuclear power up and down the line. They aren't, and they aren't. This is kind of the on the right is their little kind of the progression of problems with since this story has been published. First into correction on the 24th of June, April, May, June, so 3 months later or 2 months later, and then matters are rising 2 months after that, and then a week after that, another one, and then in November, they were alerted the data's bad, so that's a couple months later, and then a year and a month after that, it's retracted. What they have to say about that? They've retracted the paper. Post-publication, the results were found to be sensitive to the removal of one country, Uzbekistan. If you pulled out Uzbekistan, all their predictions go haywire. Because that one country, so much depends upon the red wheelbarrow or Uzbekistan. William Carlos Williams, I think I got the name right. So much depends upon the red wheelbarrow. But no, Uzbekistan. Other problems increase the uncertainty range from an 18-point spread to a 25-point spread, and lower probability of damages diverging by 9%. So the authors acknowledge these changes are too substantial for a correction, leading to the retraction of the paper, but they're trying to update it. It's still Bolshevik storytelling. The seas are not going to rise and flood us. You know how you can tell? Take a look at an aerial photo of Barack Obama's home on Martha's Vineyard. That's how you can tell. Because there isn't much room for the waters to rise, especially like Al Gore's saying. If Al Gore's right, give another few years, the Obama's multi-million-dollar mansion is going to be turned from a 2-story place to a 1-story place because the first story is going to be underwater. It's all Bolshevik storytelling. So, finally, I can't believe President Trump lied to me. This is horrible. A surprise. When your package arrives, you have to pay the tariff. I was assured that these foreign countries were paying the tariff. But no. Of course, if the foreign countries were paying the tariff, why were they floating that $2,000 tariff rebate? Well, here's how. End of a tariff exemption on goods worth $800 or less has left some U.S. shoppers with an extra shipping bill that must be paid before delivery. Yes, this is how it works. Kim Batten, a physical therapist from Oakland, California, bought a trench coat earlier this year from a Dutch retailer for $456, a price that was a little above her budget. But after the coat was shipped, UPS told Miss Batten in an email she would have to pay over $250 in customs duties to receive it. With shipping, the whole transaction came to well over $700. It ended up being the second most expensive article of clothing I'd ever bought, other than my wedding gown, she said. Yeah, I don't. That's got to be a nice trench coat. I own a trench coat. I bought it when I lived up in Washington State. I traveled across the border into Oregon, which has no sales tax to purchase it. Or at the time had no sales tax. I don't know if it still has no sales tax. It was a nice trench coat. Cost me $120 or so. So that was back in 1994, 1995, probably somewhere around there. Nice jacket. Still got it. 456, $700. That's a lot. Here's where I have a little more concern. Democrats and Republicans favored ending the exemption on low-value goods. They say it helped large sellers, particularly those from China, evade tariffs and made it easier to smuggle fentanyl into the country. Other countries are now planning to end or tighten de minimis exemptions. How that made it more difficult or made it easier to smuggle fentanyl into the country is very curious to me. Because when they're doing these tariffs and they're calculating them, it's based on what the shipper tells UPS is in the package. UPS looks it up on some sort of table. Here's the tariff. That's what goes to the government. We can't, give it to you until you pay the tariff. I'm just kind of puzzled by how, if they had fentanyl in the package and they instead called it Tums, said they were Tums tablets, antacids or something, that somehow made it easier. They lie when they're smuggling drugs. So, and UPS isn't opening the package to see what's inside. They're taking a declaration based on what the shipper said. Most, the Dutch retailer isn't lying. I'll admit this is me. I've held off on. There's some Blu-ray discs I want to buy that I've found on eBay. Mainly because I like owning physical media. I don't like it when stuff disappears off streaming services and I'm still subscribing to it. So I collect a lot of DVDs and Blu-rays and whatnot, much to my wife's dismay. Subscribe, help fund my physical media addiction. But I'm not ordering those off eBay from Shanghai or Hong Kong. Because I think the DVDs are like $120 or something like that. Blu-rays, $120. I got no idea what the tariff on that is. That could double the price. I can't justify double the price. I can barely justify the price. But I think if Democrats and Republicans are in favor of ending these exemptions, I think they're going to start getting a lecture from, both of them from their constituents, because we kind of like free trade. Free trade means the stuff costs less for us. And this is not ending well. Thank you, President Trump, for your honesty on who pays tariffs. We appreciate that. That's all I got for today, ladies and gentlemen. Again, thank you for watching. Please tell your friends, tell your enemies. Please subscribe, like, all that other sort of stuff. These videos are going to be free for as long as the eye can see on YouTube. If you're watching these on Substack, thank you. I encourage you to do that as well. At some point, I'm going to start doing entries in this that are for paid subscribers only. That's right now is one person. Let's see if we can get that number up. Again, I'm trying to churn out content. I'm trying to make it worth your while. So you want to support me, hoystory.substack.com. If you follow me on YouTube and Facebook, that's much appreciated. If you follow me on X as well. Eventually, if I get enough followers on X, I'm going to do a little bit of a payback to a bigger YouTube channel who... the guy's an egotistical. For his area of expertise, he knows his stuff. He tends to stray from his area of expertise. He's gone very, MAGA, very Trump can do no wrong. Sometimes Trump does wrong, sometimes he does okay. And I'll tell you the truth in both cases, but I corrected him on something, and he just, oh, you've only got so many followers on X. I'm going to block you. It's the quality of my followers on X. Very high quality followers on X. So join them. Again, thank you for joining me. Tell your friends, tell your enemies, and we'll see you next time. Probably no show tomorrow. I got other work to do, but keep an eye on it. Thanks for joining me. Bye.